that so much. And I actually want to use it to bring in what's the fourth core belief, which is I am magnetic when I embrace my feminine gifts.
Ooh.
And one of my feminine gifts is my ability to feel. So I love your example of, the house catching fire and then all the damage and everything you have to replace. So there are two elements of that. The first element that I want to invite for every experience and part of our feminine gifts that most women have just completely or mostly cut off from is feeling. We actually have a much wider, broader experience of feeling than men do. And this is a gift for a lot of different reasons. And when something happens that's unexpected or it's not what we want, it's okay to feel angry, sad, grief, sorrow. And if we let ourselves actually feel it, oh, this isn't what I wanted. And I'm so upset and my stuff is ruined. And I love that painting that was on the wall. And that we let ourselves actually go all the way into feelings last like up to 20 minutes maximum.
It really does.
And then it passes through. And then we can be in the place of surrender, because then what we find with the, house burning or whatever happened that wasn't what we expected, the GPS, is adjusting for, is then I can come to the place of life, divine intelligence. I don't understand in this moment how this is the path to where I want to be, but I'm going to trust that this is the most direct path to where I know I'm going. Because you put this in my heart. I know the desire I have in my heart for my life, for my relationships, for my impact, all of it. I trust that this is on the path. And then you can live in faith.
Yes. And not in fear.
Yes.
Love it. Feel at 100%. Let those feelings go through your body and release it. And then go back to trusting that you're still on your divine path because you're in alignment. Nothing throws you off of alignment. You choose to be off of alignment. Is that what I'm hearing you say, really?
Yes, exactly.
You get the choice to choose.
Yes, exactly. And then with our feminine gifts are like, okay, well, how is our ability to feel a gift and why does that make me magnetic? Well, if you think about it, access to our feelings, this super power source that we have as women to the extent that we do, we have as women. When we feel our feelings, we actually have access to feeling our bodies because feelings come from the body. When we're in touch with our bodies, we have access to even more of our intuition, of our inner knowing of the truth of something for us. And when we express those feelings, that's actually a huge power source. Wow. Think of a woman who is passionate, who lets herself, if she's angry, she's like, I feel angry right now, but it's controlled, it's healthy. Yes. It's a healthy way of expressing emotions. There's power in that of like, oh, she's angry. What's going on? Right. Another way to look at it is it's how you access your passion, your creativity, your life force is actually through your ability to feel your feelings. Yeah. And when we're cut off from those, which is just one of our feminine gifts, when we're cut off from those, it makes it a lot harder to be alive, to really be living, and then to access our fullest potential.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And so, I'm going to dig just a little bit on that feminine energy.
Sure.
There's been such a conversation, and I feel from just looking at how we are showing up in the world as a collective. I'm just being collective. As women, we have gone off of the equality and being able to have equal things. Nothing wrong with that. Have we chosen so far in where we've gotten into competition with men that we kind of shifted over more to the masculine and we kind of lost a lot of our feminine qualities? Like they say women in corporate can't feel. Not me. Talk to us about that. You were an attorney. Yeah. Which
I was in one of the most masculine businesses there was.
I was gonna say, right. So talk about managing that and still showing up as a radiant feminine when you still do that. I remember saying I was like, I'm not sure, I do coach individuals in the construction career mostly of my coaching, that's what I do day to day, that they're going into the construction industry and they're going to go into the workforce, and that's my thing. And I said to a woman, I said, she's like, Dr. White, can I ask you a question? Do you believe women should work in construction? I said, they absolutely do. And they absolutely should. Now, how much of what and what we choose to do in construction, I might have questions about, because if you're not able to manage your femininity effectively, you might want to step away from some parts of construction. Tell me what you think about all this, because I want to hear your take. This is definitely something I think you have a good principle that you can encourage us in, because there are a lot of women more and more who are working in more highly demanding, masculine type roles. And I feel we should follow. If that's what's in alignment for you, go for it. But how do we maintain the feminine doing all of it?
Yeah. Yeah, it's so good, because here's the thing. I think we really had to start off this process of coming into rights as women over the past couple hundred years
Yeah.
by emulating men. I mean, that's kind of where we got to this
What's hard
point
for
is,
us.
oh,
Yeah.
I look around as a corporate lawyer and I saw all the people who are the most successful as professionals were men. And so I would dress like a woman, but I was very masculine. I learned how to golf. I was smoking cigars. I would be swearing with these men. I mean, I was like a man acting like a man in a woman's body. And
Yes.
what I realized with that is, on one hand, it made me feel safer, because now I have this armor around me that's like, I'm like a man.
Yeah.
But in actuality, what it did is it kept me smaller,
Mm.
because my most powerful place for me personally is not to be
Exactly.
acting like a man.
Yeah.
That's right. That's just pretending to be like a man, when
Right.
actually in my harmony, my own personal harmony of masculine and feminine is definitely more feminine. And so what I want to say about this that I think is so important for us as women to recognize is that we women who are exploring this area are pioneers. We are the pioneers of, how do you be a feminine woman in
Yes.
corporate, in a masculine industry, in a world that is set up with a more masculine bent to pretty much everything? And
Yes.
instead of making it wrong or making men bad or
Right.
making ourselves wrong, what if we just think of it as like this great adventure? I get to be part of this movement of
Exactly.
women who is
Right.
now setting the stage for who we can actually be when we say, you
Right.
know what? I have all these gifts as a woman. For example, my body cycle. Okay, we've
Yeah.
been taught to believe that our monthly cycle is just about reproduction, when actually it's governing our entire physiology, our
Yes.
breath, our food intake, our musculoskeletal system, our brain
Mhm.
chemistry. I mean, everything is governed,
All of it.
literally
Yes.
led by
Yes.
our sex hormones. So
Yes.
when we start to understand that and realize like there's actually another way to do business, but that's going to be on a monthly cycle instead of a daily cycle, we are
Whoa.
pioneers in figuring out, how do you make that work in the real world?
Exactly.
And I just want to say, I know I'm going deep on these topics, and
Oh
I am
no.
actually,
I'm
you
with
like
you.
it.
Oh,
You're
this is
with
our
it.
spot.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Good. I am in process of almost finishing my book on the 5 core beliefs. So there's so much we can dive into. And I want to just frame it all by saying that so much more is possible for us when we focus on true pleasure as our North Star. And then
Oh,
all of this is what flows from it.
oh my goodness. I am submitting to the fact of what you said, being a pioneer, because and this is why when I first met you and I looked at your work, there's no way, listeners and viewers, that we're going to go into all the depth of Sloane. This is why you're going to have to connect, and we'll tell you in a little while how to do that. And as she evolves and grows, but I feel like she was a pioneer in a space that is so well needed, because she comes and just look at her and just look at her essence, and her radiance is just so full of femininity, but she's still so brave and strong. And so when you talk about being pioneers, that is exactly what I'm here for. There's so much in this mainstream media that a lot of people are surprised when I disagree with it, because I'm not one that's just making a protest on social media. But in my classrooms and in my trainings, I talk about it, and I'm like, please understand that while, like, I sat in a boardroom where, there were women were saying, we don't really need the men. And the men were like, yeah, you do. And then I'm like, yeah, we do. We need each other. And I talk about the
Yeah.
purple zone in some of my corporate trainings. When we have the men and the woman, it's purple zone, and that's where everything feminine, masculine. That's why God gives us both energies. But then He allowed the woman to have more feminine and the man to function more in the masculine. So we still need each other to make this full thing done. So it's a lot of cooperations, and we're not going to go into this episode because we can have a whole nother episode on feminine versus masculine and why we need to work together. But what I see is a world where women are mad at men, men are confused about how they should deal with us.
Yeah.
We're not mad at them, but we want what we feel is right for us, and we feel like to do that we have to cut a man. I feel like that's the overarching tone that's been there, because there was a time where we did. But we're saying on this podcast today that we don't have to. There's another way, and we get to create that with the choices we make. We are the
Yes.
pioneers to get to figure out what that is. And so, Sloane, you're definitely, I believe, appointed to be one of the women that helps bring us back to our full feminine pleasure, that now helps to bring this radiant light while we're still now allowed, because I would say our ancestors and our four women leaders did fight the fight for equality for us. Now we get to bring that and bring us back into leveling back to being us and have the right to be in these spaces, but not be under the pressure to be the man, but bring, and I believe all species, all men and women and children will benefit when the man functions fully in his masculine and he's leading, and the woman leads beside or next to or wherever that falls, but just in our feminine, then everything now will be in balance. I think that's where true harmony will be. And that's what I
Yes.
think. I know you have one more principle I want you to get into for us.
Yes, yes, I will. And let me just end by saying, because what you just said was so powerful, I want to close it by saying the work to me is not about trying to say what's wrong on the outside or blaming people. And we're really shifting that, like you were alluding to. The
Yes.
work now is, what is the truth of my own harmony of masculine and feminine inside of me? And
Yes.
for the parts that have been repressed, or I don't even know what that is, and what does it look like to be in healthy femininity, for example, how do I learn and grow in that area so that I become healthy and in harmony with myself? And then from that place, everyone around me benefits. And it's through the example of us as pioneers that other people, men and women, get their
Right.
own permission to create that within themselves. And then that is a movement, for
And I
sure.
absolutely love that, because don't want women to walk away feeling like we're telling them if they do smoke cigar, they're not feminine. They have to wear red lipstick and wear their hair long. That's just a one way of expressing
Mhm.
femininity. So can you, before you move to the other one, quickly define if there's such a thing? I know this is a hard one, because I couldn't do it if I asked myself this question right now. I'm thinking, like, how would you define femininity, so we can just kind of walk away from that part and people understand what the heck Alisa and Sloane is talking about?
I think of femininity as more of a flow, as
Mm,
softer, as a shape of more of a circle, as inspiration, intuition. Uh,
nurture.
yes, yes. And I think of masculine as more linear, logical, decisive, leading, like a more of a pointed kind of focus.
Yes.
And there are so many ways to
It's-
define it. And
yes.
that is part of this journey of figuring out, what do those things mean to me? Because then the fun part can be on the outside. What does that mean for the way I speak, for the way I make decisions, for the way in relationship, we decide who's leading and when, and it actually, just like everything else we're talking about, can be a really fun adventure to discover what that is for you
Right.
while you're growing and evolving in this area.
Exactly. It's like, I love that those I actually agree with. And both, like we said, both men, women have it, but women, we have the dose and we have the ability to feel more scientifically proven. And from those
Yes.
feelings, we're able to do so many different things than what a man can do. And I was saying in my lecture the other day, I was like, this is the part I love about men. Men are able to take something and be like, the dog is black, and they're done. And we'll be like, the dog, he's like a big, fluffy dog, and he says furry here. And oh, by the way, it's black. And when he walks, it shakes, and we're just going on. He's like, the dog is black. And it's like, babe, the
Yeah.
dog is black. And so, what I was saying to my students, which was doing a career development class, I was like, we have to learn to value when the man's brief, concise way, because there's situations when we don't need to go on and just shut up and let it be. And there's times when the man has to value that the woman is going to go on and say, you're so right, my dear. And I do love that, because now I didn't think about how his hair sways when he moves, and it's just, it's weird, but that's the becoming. And I'm like, we can't just, I think when you come into that place of radical self-love and self-acceptance and also self-responsibility, you become a person who's just eager to hear and understand. And that's where we get to be the trailblazers, right? Because whatever it's becoming, it's like, oh, this feels good. This is in alignment with me. I'll flow. Oh, this doesn't feel good for me. You all go ahead and enjoy this. I may not be a part of this, but I can be a part of this because this feels right. And that's the flow. That's the flow of my life. If someone says, do you know, I don't know how to tell you this, but I used to be a guy. I'm like, oh, really? Sure. So what was that like for you? It's like, oh, you're one of those people, or, oh, sinner. It's just like, oh, what was that like for you? Congratulations. Are you feeling it's that alignment question. How do you feel now that you were able to achieve that? That's different for me. I got my own religious beliefs, but in this wonderful world of life, I'm not going to miss out on learning of his journey. And he or she would have learned something that I can learn, which probably pushes me to become more of myself. Doesn't mean I'll have a gender change, but it would be the bravery and the resilience I hear from that person's story will tell me why it's easy now for me to leave the law firm alone and go into coaching. Even if I'm broke for 5 years and I'm just barely getting by as a starving artist, I can hear the fulfillment and satisfaction out of that person's transition that teaches me something. And I know that's a deep, hot topic for a lot of people, but when you're in alignment, you're at peace and you become curious about
Yes.
other
And you
people's
can
experience.
accept other people for who they are. Yeah. I
Exactly.
love
And
that.
it just brings so much harmony to your world that those dimples on your bottom, the cellulite on your thighs, you just look at me like, oh, cellulite, here you are. I'm 44. You know what I'm saying? I remember when I did this, but I get to grow older because I have friends who died at age 25 that we grew up together. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I start to look at in this journey of radical self-love, while I will buy a cream and work on putting on a cellulite, I still look at it and I'm reminded that I was given the opportunity to spend 44 years on the planet where some people didn't have it. And so everything just literally, guys, even the relationship you have with wrinkles and cellulite, you're like, I don't like it. But then you start to look at it another way because you love yourself, you love your journey, and you're in alignment, and all things are working for your good. So I'm gonna
I
let you do
love
number
that.
5.
I love it so much. And then that actually leads us into number 5, because number 5 is one that would be really easy to be like, yeah, of course I do that. Yes, I'll do that. But actually, the only place to live number 5 is when you are practicing living in the place of the other 3 that we've just explored. So, number 5 is, as a community of women, we nourish and uplift each other.
Mm.
And this is about a much broader nourishment and uplifting than for most of us have is like a core group of a couple close women who we let them see all of us and we help them out and we're there for each other. But I'm talking about something much broader that's possible for us as women, which is really creating a network of, what if you had 50 people who could be like your inner circle, there for you no matter what? You could trust with your deepest stuff. You can disagree about things, and that's okay. and really living from this place of we as women are so much more powerful
Oh my
together.
God.
And
Yes.
when we support each other and uplift each other in every way that we can in life and business.
Oh my goodness. And I thought about that. I'm like, but Sloan, that could be hard.
Yeah,
That other voice,
it's a
that could be
journey.
hard because I see some women doing some wild stuff and I don't know how to uplift them. I just rather leave them alone. What would you say to that mindset? How do we take
Well,
on that part of us? Because we all have it. It's like, I don't know if I
yeah,
said
I
this
want to
best.
bring in that for me, this community of women that's a broader community where we nourish and uplift each other, for me personally, means a community of women who are dedicated to their growth.
Yes.
That's going to be the foundation for me. So even women who aren't dedicated to their growth, what I'm proposing is that I could see how they're living. I could see the choices they're making. I could see the politics that they enjoy. And any of those things, if they're not for me, that I still am carrying in my heart, hey, live your life. I know you're doing your best. Peace
Mm,
and love to you, and finding a place to do that instead of making people wrong or trying to tear them down or gossiping or doing any of the things we women have been trained to do as a group, that
yes.
really has the effect of when I gossip about another woman, that tears me
Me
down.
down.
That's dark.
Absolutely.
And
Yes.
I'm bringing darkness into myself. So I choose not to do that, period, at all.
Exactly. Exactly. I more or less would, I have this process that I do with anyone. And I'm like, I say, I wonder what her journey has been like this far, that she has been making these choices. And it's funny when you wonder, information will come. And then I start to see what might look like this huge flaw. And then I start to develop compassion. I'm like, so this person suffered rape and all this stuff as a young child. And I'm like, but she hadn't either been presented the opportunity or chosen yet to heal. And so I send love and light and guidance again for her to find healing from that space, because I can see it, because I understand the psychology. I can see how what I'm experiencing in my interaction with this woman, that how this shows up, because I understand the psychology. And so now I have compassion. It doesn't mean, my friends, my sisters, that you have to put up with toxic relationships. You may very well have to end that business relationship or a friendship, because that toxicity brings so much darkness in your path and it's causing you to have challenges where you don't need them. It's choice, right? And you have to disconnect, but do it with loving compassion and release with the highest form of, I still want you to prosper. I want you to win. You're just not going to win at me completely losing myself in my way and being out of alignment. But I want you to win. And so pray and or wish or hope or whatever you want to call it, that that person does find a way, because you have your own stuff you still got to work on too, that you're not, you know what I'm saying? So that's how I approach life now. And so it's like more of like, what can I learn from their journey and what they're how they're showing up, and why are they in my life right now? What do I need to learn? And sometimes what do I need to teach? So that's how
Yeah, I
I
love
approach it.
that.
Not that
With
I'm perfect.
compassion.
This has been a work in progress. And like you said, that first 20 minutes of feeling, I could feel very angry and go, I can't believe this heifer. Ah, did you just call, Lord, forgive me? And I'll say, they didn't hear me, but I'm saying, forgive me, because I shouldn't go off like that. But I was angry, but I let myself feel my anger. And now I'm like, what's the truth? What's the truth about what you know to be for your experience and human experience? And then we start the work of me going to the understanding. It's not always the first place, guys, but I become better where it's more of my first place of I wonder than it has been over my life of 43, almost 44 years.
It's so powerful. I love that you're in that exploration, and it's like starting with the best possible story you can find. And there's one piece that I want to share about this core belief that is, I think, one of the foundations of it, which is honesty. And this is where a lot of us go off, because as a community of women, we nourish and uplift each other. We can decide to stop gossiping. We can decide, oh, yeah, she needs something. I'm going to bring her a meal and take care of her. But the place where I think there's a major opportunity for us as women is in
Mm.
practicing having honest conversations.
Mm.
So where this woman, is showing up in a way that feels toxic is first finding the best story I can find, what she went through in childhood, what she must be going through. And then if this is a person in my world saying, "Hey, are you available for a deeper conversation? I'm experiencing something with you that I'm not enjoying or that I'm having a hard time with." And then she can say yes or no. But it's being willing to say the hard things and have the hard conversations with each other, even if it's not perfect or it comes out weird or they get upset or they're mad and they're hurt. It's willing to do that anyway, because this is the only way that we develop these deep, soulful, connected relationships is through having hard
Hard
conversations.
conversations. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for saying that. The I described a woman that I dealt with, and I remember, and I'll tell you, it doesn't always go favorably. And I remember saying, "Well, I hear you and I see how this has worked for you, but I'm looking at the results we're getting right now in this venture. Do you think that's still effective?" And she said, "Well, my mama didn't raise a fool, and I've been doing this. I've made millions of dollars. And so I guess it works." And there was absolute resistance on changing how the interaction was. And I said, "Well, I understand that's how you feel, but I'm just letting you know that it makes me feel uncomfortable because I'd rather be in a more sort of respectful exchange." And looking from the rest of the people that are working with us, we've lost so many people already. It's probably not working when you address that way. I mean, I would say it's absolutely not working. And then she goes, "Well, I am who I am and I'm not going to change." And I said, "Okay, I respect that." And then I sent her an email and I said, "I'm withdrawing my part of the activity because it's not in alignment." And I use the word alignment a lot.
Mhm.
I use it a lot. So not in alignment for me at this time. We can revisit it later. And I can't make her change. And I've had
Yeah.
conversations with people where they're like, "Oh, I didn't realize I was coming across that way." I'm like, I thought there was an opportunity that you didn't. This is why I want to have the conversation. So I was like, how can we, work it out? And they had better suggestions than the one I showed up with. And so it was able to clear it and move on. But it's would behoove any of us to think that someone knows what we're thinking, feeling, experience, unless we have that conversation. Like you said, you have to be willing. And I say, guys, that tip that Sloan just gave us, it works in marriages too. It works with your children as
Yes.
well. It's just that a lot of times of women, we're afraid of confrontation. We don't want to be the housewives. We don't want to have the housewives moment. Guys, that's a lot of that is all just over escalated, over emotions for how the cameras, you put too many dogs in one kettle, they'll all start acting unnatural. And I think that's what happens a lot in these television shows. But then you also see where the tough conversations happen and there's growth. So thank you so much for that. Oh my goodness. I am definitely loving this, and we'll tell you some opportunities how to connect. But let's do flip the script with Sloan. You guys, if you get any more, you're gonna have to pay. Okay, you're gonna pay coaching fees because she has given us the goods. Let's play the game of flip the slips. I'm gonna ask you this. Number one, when you decide to be radical in self-love, what did, as a woman, bringing all your energy, what did sex become for you? Talk to us about that. This is a
That's a
hard,
great question.
not necessarily getting into your personal space, but how did you view it?
No,
How
it's
did you
good.
approach it? And how did it change everything?
What's interesting is in all that pleasure seeking that I had, I always wanted to experience sacred union with a man
Mm-hmm.
and have this like connection that is based on what I understood can be exploring the deepest aspects of spirituality, connection to God, myself as a human. And so I would say, to answer your question, as I have come to really love myself and cherish myself and feel so connected to me, which to me is also saying feeling so connected to life and to God, sex has actually become something that's sacred. And
Mm-hmm.
I always had more of like, I would say more conservative values around it,
Yeah.
not just like sleeping around with people. But I will
Right.
say this, it became about a spiritual experience with another human, that there's all this possibility that I really wanted to preserve for the most precious partnership that I have. And so it revolutionized my understanding. It went from, I've heard things of like your body is a temple and we take in other people's, man's energy when you have sex and that kind of thing, but actually experiencing it and choosing to make sex sacred revolutionized my understanding of what it could be.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that is an answer. And I am in so much alignment with that. It's almost like you were saying my words and my life,
Mhm.
because that is my journey. And I believe that after my divorce, and just to share a little bit, I'm not going to leave you out here hanging alone, sister. I after my divorce, it was a choice that I made, about the sacred and having that sacred union. And I used to say, I want to have wild, passionate, love making. And that was my best understanding. I think what I was saying, it was that sacred union, that embodied mind and soul. We all come together in that moment. But I felt like before we even get to sexual intercourse, there's that preview of the just a blend of that masculine and feminine in alignment for purpose is what be for me what the
Mhm.
sacred came like. And then there's these cherished moments that are created in the exchange of physical contact that becomes something that only I don't know what it looks like. You just create, you co-create. And so I'm still on the journey to getting there. But my decision, like I say, I never thought about, oh, I'm not going to sleep with someone the first night. I don't even talk about that because the world gives us these things that becomes all the stuff we think about, the do's,
Yeah.
don'ts. But when you're in alignment and you're making decisions and choices from that place, you find that a lot of the do's and don'ts that are, that they would tell you are safer for you, you just become it effortlessly. And then life, it affects that. So I hope that women, we took you guys on a full cycle, right? So let's talk about what success is for you. How do you define that?
Oh, that's such a good question because Alisa, I think success used to mean for me making money and having some kind of freedom through money and being able to do what I want. And
Right.
then when I did a lot of that, what I realized, and also to be fair, I used to be a corporate lawyer. So I was working with people buying and selling companies. And I saw time and time again people who sacrificed their lives to create success, to build this company, to get to the pinnacle of success and sell the company and have all this money. And then they have a midlife crisis, or they get divorced, or they have to go to India and travel around for a year to find themselves. And through all that, and then my own personal experience, success really became about a holistic experience that for me begins with true pleasure, feeling good on the inside. I
Yeah.
actually think is the greatest luxury that money can't buy.
Come
And
on
then
now.
from that place, yes, success also includes having my highest levels of impact,
Yes.
making great money. For me, the money is reflecting my
Right.
impact,
Right.
and then living in a way that feels good, where I keep growing, where I'm connected to the people I love, where I'm enjoying myself wherever I am. Living my best, most fulfilled life is a huge part of success that also
Absolutely.
includes money.
It also includes money. Yeah, because money
Yeah.
is a currency, and I call it
Yes.
a vehicle that you to get from point A to point B in this market of the world. It's how it works. But it's not the only thing because a lot of us think money is the material things. And while that enhances being successful, it's not. And I remember Will Smith talking about there's been a viral clip of him saying, when you can buy everything you can possibly buy and you can own and you can be on any magazine and all that, you've done all that and you're full frontal, and you just don't, you feel empty on the inside.
Yeah.
What is your
Yep.
life really worth? And I'm like, I feel like I've heard someone say, well, I don't care. I want to find out. It's get rich or die trying. I've had students who said that. I'm like, you know what? I don't judge you. Go for it. You can come
Yeah.
right back here.
Exactly.
You can
I
come
needed
right
to
back
do
to
that.
this. Yeah.
Yes. I needed to do that myself to get to that point of having it all and feeling empty to
Right.
learn. And so some people do need that. And then a lot of people actually don't. They're resonant. I think people now are resonating of like, what am I doing all this for? I
Right.
want something more than my life just to stand for this, me being like a machine to try to get somewhere that feels like it never arrives.
It never arrives because you're going to try to find something else because you're doing what you said, the opposite of alignment. You're looking for other things to place when I get to, and then. So there's always going to be more. What's
Yes.
happening in the now, right? The present.
Yes.
So my next and final question and flip the script for you is what's next for Sloane and what kind of mindset do you have to achieve these next big goals that you have?
Oh, that's such a good one. Well, I already started to reference it. The next thing
Yes.
for me is finishing my book.
Yes.
And I am on a path now. I'm working with someone to finish this last version of rewrite by November. And I'm
Yay.
so excited about it. It's currently called True Pleasure, the only success guide the modern woman needs.
Woo!
And yes, the mindset required, I would say two things. One is I've noticed something very interesting about myself in the writing of this book, which is this current version of it, which is the second version I've written. I have almost finished. There are like four main segments left on actually this last core belief of as a community of women, we nourish and uplift each other, that
Yeah.
I got all the way through everything and then didn't finish those last four things. So I've already committed to actually finishing them by the time I start with this new editor and program in
Yes.
August. But
Yes.
that's really interesting to notice about, myself of, oh, okay, there's a place where I stop. And then most importantly, the mindset is being in true pleasure as I write the book.
Ooh.
So
Wow.
it's not about getting it done. It's not
Done.
about what's the thing I need to put here, but it's about how am I feeling while I do it? It's living what I am
Ooh.
talking about here while I write the book, which isn't a skill. I love to write, but I've written a book once before many years ago, but it's not my usual practice. This is a
Yes.
new thing. And
Yeah.
so I have to work to keep myself into this
True pleasure
isn't
and
the
not
way
robot.
to do it.
Yeah.
Yes, the way to do it isn't about getting it done. That's not the most effective thing that I can create. The most effective thing I can create, like everything in my life, is by focusing first on how I feel and then
Ooh.
creating from that place.
Wow. That is so deep. And I believe that energetically, the book will flow in such an energetic. You got me like right now. I'm not going to walk away from this episode. I'm going to be checking. Am I truly in full pleasure with this? And
Love that.
so here's the thing that's good. So flip the script of my mind. You sure did. My thing is, what would you say to us should be our little bit of accountability process to get ourselves back into pleasure space? I mean, you're doing it right now as you write this book and challenge yourself on something that's not been your biggest practice or as much of a practice as the other things you do. But it has to be done because what I do is go into a masculine state anyway. And I start to be about boom, 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 boom. Well, a deadline's a deadline. If you lose sleep tonight, you lose sleep. And I would say that I'm more at that point, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to go to bed, but I got to finish this. So I'm obviously not in, it's not that I'm out of alignment, but I'm not in pleasure. How do I switch that?
One of the easiest things I know how to do is something I call a quantum slowdown.
Mm,
So, one of the things we try to do is just keep going next to the next thing to the next and get it all done with this some idea that if I could get more done, I'm going to be
mhm,
able to relax or
mhm,
take a breath. And so the quantum slowdown is actually calibrating to consciousness, but
mhm.
it's taking even 2 minutes. You could even do it while you're going to the bathroom, actually. And
Okay.
it could be a 2-minute meditation. It could be 2 minutes of close your eyes and just touch your body and feel your touch both on your hand and then on the actual body. It could be listening to a song and dancing around your living room. It's just taking a few moments multiple times during the day or multiple times during writing to recenter and become conscious.
Yes.
And like you said, especially in places like writing a book isn't some place I'm normally practicing true pleasure. So while I'm writing the book is to stop after 25 minutes and do a dance to recenter on how am I feeling? What's my mood like? Do I need some water? Go to the bathroom to take care of myself and consciously enjoy it and then start the activity again.
Love that. Quantum.
Slow down. Quantum means tiny little slowdown.
Slow down. Yes. I love that. And I take that even for myself. Flip the script. Oh, that was so good. Good one. Let's talk about mindset bites to go, and then we will definitely tell the audience how to connect with you. So this mindset bites to go is where I give you about 90 to 120 seconds. I love playing around with numbers like that. To just tell us, and I'll step away from the microphone and the camera to talk to the audience as if this was your last opportunity to tell the world your best guess on radical self-love or whatever it is you want to share with us. And you do that, and then we'll be right back to tell you how to connect with Sloane and some excited stuff she's got going on. Over to you.
Thank you. What I want to leave you with is that what you envision for your life, and whether that's a big dream you've had for so long, or whether it's just this quiet little whisper in your heart, what you really want is possible for you. I've experienced it time and time again with my life and with women around the world. You don't have a desire on your heart that is unfulfillable. And that journey that you need to go on to create it, it is so extraordinary. It is so worth it. And yes, I understand that in the short term, it feels like you're going to have to give up something, or it feels scary to go into the unknown. And maybe it even looks like giving up someone. But on the other side of your choice of choosing you, of choosing life, of choosing your own inner guidance, is this life experience that equals freedom, living free in a way you've probably never even imagined. No matter how free you already are, there's more. And it also includes, what is it like to be living something that you previously just desired and fantasized about and wanted in your heart of hearts? That experience is what's truly living. And it's from that place that you can actually really serve other human beings, which in my experience is one of the greatest fulfillments that there is. So whatever is on your heart, if you let yourself go for it, and whether you've done it 100 times or this is the first time, this next time is going to be even better and even more fulfilling for you on the other side of experiencing it.
Oh, that is so powerful. Mindset bites to go, even more powerful. So Sloane, let's talk about some of the wonderful things you've got coming up in your work and in your platform, on your platform. We've got a retreat coming up. Absolutely new stuff. Tell us, and then tell us how to connect with you. I'm so looking forward to this.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Alisa. I am most excited to share. We have a virtual retreat called Falling in Love with Yourself, and it's starting on November 4th. And it is an extraordinary experience. It's 7 days, 30 minutes a day. And then we also have community connection in a WhatsApp group. And it's a really beautiful experience for anybody who's wanting a reset, who's wanting a realignment with themselves, and to do it together in community with other women who are dedicated to their growth. So you can find out more. We'll post the details here, but it's The Real Sloane, and Sloane is with an E, .com/love. And you can get all the information there. And I would love to offer anyone who's listening here, if you use a code at checkout, LOVE111, then that will give you a $111 discount. So I'd love to see you in the course.
Love 11. I'm writing it down because I'm going.
Love and 3 ones. 111 will give you $111 discount.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's awesome. I wouldn't put that. They have to listen and catch this code. So we won't put it in the description. So you only hear it here. That means you've listened this far. I believe we have a 2-part episode, but it's the bomb. You will definitely have the link to the retreat. It is a virtual retreat, right?
Yes, it's
That
virtual.
is so neat. So you don't have to leave wherever you are in the world to fly out to the US. You can absolutely attend. Just use the link and get to the retreat. I will be attending. I'm going to be in the experience myself. So I am looking forward to it. I'm excited to be a part of these Village of Women, even as a growth specialist or whatever people call me in the world. And I have we have the movement. I go to places and I grow and I get nurtured, and being connected with like-minded women like Sloane is absolutely important to my evolution and my continued growth. Mm-hmm. So we encourage you to do that. And then connecting with, we can't wait for the book. The book she's already mentioned. Tell us about the book. And guys, you know to stay tuned for it, because it will reintroduce these principles in more depth and making it a lifestyle. So tell us about that, Sloane.
Yes, coming in 2025, and it's full of stories and real examples of humans, more about my story, all in bringing what is the journey of living these 5 core beliefs, so that you really are not only actually fulfilling your highest potential, but you feel like it. You feel, I am riding the wave of my life, and I know in this moment, it's exactly as it should be. I feel so good right here, right now, even though I know that even more is possible as my life proceeds. So I can't wait to share it. Definitely connect on Instagram. I'm on X. We can share all the details.
Yes, and we will have all the links to her platforms and her website in the description, wherever you're seeing or listening to the podcast. And I want to tell you that we're going to listen, community. We got to rally around this book, especially women. The name of the book is, tell us again.
Sure. True Pleasure, the only success guide the modern woman needs.
The only, and I'm going to say this, everyone knows that inside Mindset Mastery 360, we have She Rose Lead, which is a small movement for women inside. It will become one of our major core teachings for She Rose Lead, because that's the concept behind it. So Sloane's book will become, I don't know, maybe we'll do a book club. I don't know what we're going to do, but this book, we're going to support a whole lot, because I believe in every principle that she's teaching. And I know this is going to be success. So we're going to be behind it. I don't say this often, but I know in my soul and in alignment, I told Sloane when I first met her that I have this alignment with her, and I'm just going with it. And I feel like the book is definitely going to be we are going to be behind you. So you have full support from us in 2025 to make sure this book goes every part of the world it can possibly go. So she'll be back when we do the book launch. Maybe we'll do something special on social media or whatever, but we will definitely let you guys know when it's available. Sloane, it has been such a fantastic time with you. We definitely hit 2 episodes. So we're going to have a 2-part episode. We thank you so much for sharing your journey, your wisdom, your insights, your teachings, all of it with us. Your story has really, really helped me even embrace deeper radical self-love, and definitely going to be paying attention to, am I experiencing true pleasure?
Yes.
As the foundation of my work and my success in this journey. So to our listeners, make sure to check out everything in the notes. Click on the links. Go let Sloane know that you heard her on the podcast as well. She has a freebie on her website that you can get. I forgot what that was, Sloane. You want to tell us about the giveaway you have? You have a mailing list, I think.
Yes. There's a 3-part video series where we dive into actually some of the things that we've talked about here, but it's juicy and it's over a couple days. And I also have a morning ritual download.
Yes. I just signed up for that. And I want you guys to go to our website and download those and just get in touch with this energy that's flowing and coming from her. I do believe she's a pioneer for women in this next generation of what life is unfolding to be with us on planet Earth. So tap in. Sloane, again, thank you so much, listeners and viewers. Until next time, I'm Dr. Alisa White with Sloane. saying, remember to embrace your own mindset and master every moment. And we would say, make sure you stay in the pleasure zone. Until next time, bye for now.
Bye. Thanks, Alisa.